Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! In that familiar, unsettling manner, Micah's heart bounded against his chest as he stepped into the cool recesses of the shopping complex. Another routine Tuesday afternoon task for anyone else, but not for him. He was painfully aware of his clammy palms gripping the strap of his messenger bag too tightly, and his breath fogging the entrance slightly as he tried to appear relaxed. Just a regular customer. His features contorted with anxiety, Micah observed the colorful world of the women's fashion department in front of him, a myriad of rich textures, patterns, and cuts. For years, he had stifled this hidden aspect of himself, his authentic nature clandestinely explored through retail therapy and late-night searches, held in check by the constraints of modern society. But today was the day to take a step toward freedom, a daunting yet exhilarating prospect.
"Shall I assist you today, sir?"
A smartly dressed member of the sales team interrupted his thoughts, their smile perhaps betraying Micah's obvious discomfort.
"Looking for a gift?"
The lie came automatically, the same one he'd rehearsed in his car during the 40-minute drive to this store, far enough from his apartment that he wouldn't accidentally encounter anyone he knew. Carefully, he navigated toward a rack of dresses, pretending to check his phone as if waiting for instructions from this fictional girlfriend. Fingertips grazed across different fabrics, silky, cotton, polyester blends, each touch sending electric currents up his arm. A floral midi dress caught his eye. The pattern wasn't overwhelming, subtle cream flowers against a navy background, cap sleeves, a modest neckline. It looked approachable, wearable. His heart skipped as he pictured how it might fall against his body.
"That's one of our most popular styles this season."
The saleswoman materialized beside him, causing him to jump slightly. Her name tag read, Patricia. The fabric has a nice stretch to it, very forgiving. "I'm looking for my girlfriend," Micah blurted, the rehearsed lie tumbling out awkwardly. "Her birthday's coming up." Patricia nodded, professional and unfazed. "What size does she wear?" Micah swallowed hard. He'd researched this, measured himself secretly in the bathroom with a tape measure ordered online that he kept hidden in his sock drawer.
"She's about my height,"
he said, which wasn't a lie.
"Maybe a size 12.
"Build similar to yours? Medium shoulder width?" Patricia assessed him with a practiced eye. Micah nodded, face burning.
"This would work beautifully then. Would you like to see some accessories that complement it? A cardigan, perhaps? The evenings are getting cooler."
Before he knew it, Patricia had guided him through a surprisingly pleasant shopping experience. A blush pink cardigan joined the dress on Patricia's arm, then a pair of black ballet flats that she assured him ran true to size. As they approached the register, she paused by a display of scarves. "This burgundy would really bring out her eyes," Patricia suggested. "Especially if she has eyes similar to yours." Micah's breath caught. His hazel eyes. His mother had always called them his best feature.
"That's perfect,"
he whispered. At the register, he avoided eye contact as Patricia folded each item carefully in tissue paper before placing them in a glossy shopping bag. Her movements were deliberate, respectful of the garments in a way that made Micah feel the importance of this moment. "I'm sure your girlfriend will love everything," Patricia said as she handed him the receipt. "The dress, particularly, has a beautiful fit." The drive home passed in a blur, the shopping bag on his passenger seat, like a companion, a promise. His apartment welcomed him with familiar silence. After triple-checking that his curtains were drawn, Micah removed each item from the bag, laying them reverently across his bed. In the bathroom, he opened the bottom drawer where, beneath washcloths and extra hand towels, he kept his small collection of makeup purchased from different drugstores over months. Foundation, concealer, a neutral eyeshadow palette, mascara, blush, a tinted lip balm. His hands trembled as he worked, following tutorials he'd memorized from countless late nights on YouTube. The foundation evened his complexion, concealing the slight shadow of facial hair he'd meticulously shaved away hours earlier. The transformation was gradual, each product adding another layer to the person emerging in the mirror. From another hidden compartment came the blonde wig he'd ordered online 3 months ago, but had only worn twice before. The color mimicked what his own hair might look like if he grew it out, a warm honey blonde that softened his features instantly as he carefully positioned it on his head. Stepping into the dress felt like coming home. The fabric embraced him, neither too tight nor too loose, falling just below his knees. The flutter of the cap sleeves softened his shoulders. He slipped his feet into the ballet flats, added the pink cardigan, and finally wrapped the burgundy scarf loosely around his neck. Standing before the full-length mirror on his closet door, Micah disappeared. In his place stood Ariana, the name he'd chosen years ago, whispered only in his most private thoughts. "Hello," she whispered to her reflection, eyes welling with tears that she blinked away, not wanting to ruin the mascara. The dress hugged her figure perfectly, creating curves where she needed them. The soft pink cardigan gave her the feminine softness she'd always craved, and Patricia had been right. The burgundy scarf brought out flecks of gold in her hazel eyes. For the first time, the person in the mirror matched the person she'd always felt inside. Complete, whole, herself. A timer chimed softly from her phone, a safety measure. 2 hours before her roommate would return from his evening class. 2 hours to exist authentically before packing everything away again. But instead of the usual anxiety, a sense of calm determination washed over her. 2 hours wasn't enough. It would never be enough. Ariana took a deep breath and reached for her phone. "You look amazing," Morgan assured her, adjusting the burgundy scarf slightly to better frame Ariana's face. "Truly, I wouldn't lie to you." 3 weeks had passed since that first shopping trip. 3 weeks of gradual confessions, first to Morgan, her only close friend from the accounting firm where they both worked. Morgan had listened without judgment, had offered her spare bedroom when Ariana admitted she couldn't keep living a double life with her roommate. "It's not too much." Ariana fidgeted with the sleeve of her blush-pink cardigan, still new to wearing these clothes outside the safety of private spaces.
"It's perfectly you,"
Morgan insisted, her curly hair bouncing as she nodded emphatically.
"And this coffee shop is 20 miles from work and your old place. Nobody will know you here."
The cafe hummed with Saturday morning energy. Laptop workers, couples lingering over breakfast, a group of cyclists refueling. Ariana's hands trembled slightly around her ceramic mug of chai tea. "I keep feeling like everyone is staring," she whispered. Morgan glanced around deliberately.
"Nope. Everyone's wrapped up in their own worlds. That's the big secret about adulthood. We all think we're under scrutiny, but most people are too busy worrying about themselves to notice others."
A barista called out an order. Someone laughed at a nearby table. Life continued normally around them. Slowly, Ariana's shoulders relaxed beneath the soft fabric of her cardigan. "I spoke to Dr. Winters yesterday," Ariana said quietly, stirring her chai. I have an appointment next Thursday.
Morgan's eyes widened. The gender therapist? Ari, that's huge. It's just a consultation, she clarified quickly. But it's a start.
I'm proud of you.
Those 4 simple words nearly undid her composure. Ariana blinked rapidly, focusing on the swirl of cinnamon in her chai. I also called my parents, she added, her voice barely audible over the cafe's ambient noise. Morgan set down her coffee mug with a thunk. You what? When? Last night. I didn't tell them everything. Just that I was staying with a friend for a while, needed some space to figure things out. How did they take it? Ariana's mind flashed back to her father's confused questions, her mother's immediate assumption that something was wrong at work. Their family had never been good at discussing emotional matters. They're worried, but they're giving me space. Mom asked if I'd still come to Thanksgiving. And will you? The question hung between them, weighted with implications. Thanksgiving was 2 months away. Who would she be by then? How much would have changed? I don't know, Ariana admitted. I can't imagine showing up as Micah. Not anymore. But showing up as me... She gestured to herself, to the dress visible beneath her cardigan, to the carefully applied makeup that had become incrementally more skillful each day. Morgan reached across the table and squeezed her hand. Whatever you decide,
I'm here.
Thank you, Ariana whispered, giving Morgan's hand a grateful squeeze in return. As they finished their drinks, Ariana noticed a woman at a nearby table glancing their way. Not judging, admiring. The woman smiled and nodded slightly toward Ariana's scarf. Love the color, she mouthed, before returning to her book. A small interaction, tiny, yet it sent warmth flooding through Ariana's chest. She'd been seen as herself, and the world hadn't ended. Ready for Phase 2 of Operation Saturday as Your Authentic Self? Morgan asked, gathering her purse. Ariana nodded, suddenly eager. Where to next? Sephora, Morgan declared with a grin. That drugstore makeup has served its purpose, but it's time for an upgrade. Plus, they do color matching for foundation. The beauty store was brightly lit, walls lined with more products than Ariana had ever seen in one place. Initially overwhelming, her anxiety eased as a friendly consultant named Devin approached them. We're looking for a proper makeup starter kit for my friend, Morgan explained. She's been making do with basics, but deserves better. Devin turned to Ariana with a warm, professional smile. What's your skin type? Any specific concerns? Not sir or miss. Just straightforward questions about skincare. Ariana felt her confidence grow as they moved through the store, Devin explaining products, demonstrating techniques, never once making her feel out of place. By afternoon, Ariana's steps had lightened, her posture straightened. The navy floral dress swished pleasantly around her knees as they wandered through a bookstore, her new makeup purchases secure in a sleek black bag. I've never felt this comfortable in public before, she admitted as they browsed the fiction section. Even as, before, I was always so aware of my body, how I was standing, whether I was taking up too much space. Because you were wearing a costume then, Morgan replied simply. Now you're just being you. A novel caught Ariana's eye. Something about a journey, a transformation. She added it to the small stack in her arms. Do you think... she began, then hesitated. What? Do you think I could grow my own hair out? Instead of the wig? It's good quality, but Sometimes I worry it's obvious or that it might slip. Morgan studied her thoughtfully. Your natural color isn't far off from the wig, honestly. It would take time to grow, but yes, absolutely you could. You'd look beautiful with shoulder-length hair. The blonde would really frame your face nicely. The casual affirmation brought tears to Ariana's eyes. All these years of hiding, of shame, of thinking her desires were impossible fantasies. And here was Morgan, making everything sound so normal, so achievable. First, the therapy appointment, Ariana said decisively. Then, one step at a time. At the checkout counter, the cashier complimented Ariana's scarf. Another small affirmation, another thread in the tapestry of her new life. Dr. Winters' office featured soft lighting, comfortable chairs, and absolutely no judgment. The therapist herself was a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked dark hair and glasses that she occasionally peered over when making a point. "What brings you here today?" she asked after they'd exchanged pleasantries. Ariana sat in her navy floral dress and pink cardigan, the burgundy scarf draped over the back of her chair. She'd debated what to wear to this appointment, ultimately deciding that hiding her true self would defeat the purpose. "I've been living as Micah for 32 years, she began carefully. "But I've known since childhood that something wasn't right, that I wasn't in the right body, the right life." Dr. Winters nodded, her pen moving occasionally across her notepad. "And when did you first start exploring your identity as Ariana?" The question startled her. "How did you know my name?" A gentle smile. "You filled it out on your intake form, under preferred name." Oh. Such a simple thing, yet so powerful. "I've used that name in my head for years, but I only started actually being Ariana a few weeks ago. Properly, I mean, with the clothes and makeup and existing in the world." "And how has that felt?" "Like breathing after being underwater for years." For the next 50 minutes, Ariana shared her history. The childhood discomfort, the secret research, the shameful purges where she'd throw away any feminine items in fits of self-loathing, only to replace them months later. The growing certainty that living as Micah was slowly destroying her. Dr. Winters listened attentively, occasionally asking clarifying questions but never challenging Ariana's experience or feelings. "What are you hoping to get from therapy?" she asked, as their session neared its end. Ariana twisted her hands in her lap. "Guidance, support. I don't know exactly what my path looks like yet, but I know I can't go back to living as Micah. Even if I never take hormones or have surgery, I need to at least live as Ariana." "That's a perfectly valid path," Dr. Winters assured her. "Gender expression and gender identity exist on spectrums. Some people need medical intervention to feel aligned with themselves. Others find peace through expression alone. There's no single right way to be transgender." The word hung in the air. Transgender. Ariana had researched it extensively online, had whispered it to herself in private moments, but hearing it spoken so matter-of-factly by a professional made it real in a new way. "I think I'd like to try hormones," Ariana admitted, the words tumbling out before she could overthink them. "Eventually. But I'm scared."
"That's normal,"
Dr. Winters said.
"We can discuss the process, the effects, the timeline. Education often helps reduce fear, but there's no rush. This is your journey, at your pace."
As Ariana left the office with a follow-up appointment scheduled, her phone buzzed with a text from Morgan. "How did it go? Want to debrief over dinner?" The normalcy of the invitation,
Just two friends having dinner, filled Ariana with unexpected joy. This was her life now. Regular therapy appointments, friendships where she was known and accepted, decisions about her future made from a place of authenticity rather than fear. The restaurant Morgan had chosen was a small Italian place with secluded booths and dim lighting. Ariana spotted her friend already seated, waving her over.
You look fantastic.
Morgan greeted her. Something's different. Ariana smiled, settling into the booth. I stopped by a salon after my appointment. They trimmed my natural hair into something I can work with while it grows out. The wig is officially retired. Her own hair was much shorter than the wig had been, barely reaching the bottom of her ears, but the stylist had worked magic, shaping it into a pixie cut that somehow looked intentionally feminine despite its length.
It suits you,
Morgan declared.
very French ingenue.
The waiter approached, handing them menus.
Good evening, ladies. Can I start you with something to drink?
Ladies. The casual inclusion sent a thrill through Ariana's body. She ordered a glass of Pinot Grigio, her voice steady and confident. Over pasta and wine, she recounted her session with Dr. Winters. She's going to refer me to an endocrinologist who specializes in hormone therapy for transgender patients. Just for a consultation, to understand the options.
That's wonderful,
Morgan said.
How do you feel about it?
Ariana twirled pasta around her fork, considering. Scared, excited, like I'm standing on the edge of a diving board, knowing the water below is exactly where I want to be, but still terrified of the jump.
You don't have to do everything at once,
Morgan reminded her.
You've already come so far in just a few weeks.
That's what Dr. Winters said.
That transition isn't a race.
Ariana took a sip of wine. She also suggested I might want to think about coming out to my family before the holidays. Not that I have to, but that having that conversation hanging over me might add unnecessary stress. Morgan nodded thoughtfully. Would you want me there? When you tell them? The offer touched Ariana deeply. Maybe. I need to think about how to approach it. My parents are traditional, not hostile, exactly, but set in their ways. Whatever you decide, I've got your back. As they finished their meal, Ariana noticed she hadn't once looked over her shoulder or worried about who might see her. The constant vigilance that had characterized her earlier outings was fading, replaced by a growing certainty that she belonged in the world exactly as she was. The endocrinologist's office was clinical but not cold, with informational posters about hormone health decorating the walls. Dr. Patel was a petite woman with a brisk manner that Ariana found reassuring. She treated the consultation as routinely as she might discuss managing diabetes or thyroid issues.
Based on your history and Dr. Winters' referral, you're a good candidate for hormone therapy,
Dr. Patel explained, reviewing the notes on her tablet. I'd recommend starting with a moderate dose of estrogen along with an anti-androgen to block testosterone production. Ariana nodded, trying to absorb the information. She'd done research, of course, but hearing it from a medical professional made it more concrete.
What changes should I expect? And how quickly?
Dr. Patel smiled slightly.
Everyone's body responds differently, but generally the emotional changes come first. Many patients report feeling more emotionally balanced within weeks. Physical changes are more gradual: skin softening, fat redistribution, breast development. Those might become noticeable around the 3-month mark, though full development takes years, just as it does for cisgender women during puberty. The doctor continued explaining potential side effects, fertility implications, and monitoring protocols. Ariana listened intently, asking questions where needed,
her decision solidifying with each answer. "I'd like to proceed," she said finally. "Excellent. We'll start with blood work today to establish your baseline levels, then get you set up with prescriptions." Dr. Patel made a few notes. "I suggest you also connect with a speech therapist if voice feminization is something you're interested in."
Hormones won't affect your voice once you've gone through male puberty.
By the time Ariana left the medical building, her arms bore a small bandage from the blood draw, and her purse contained information packets about the medications she would start in approximately 1 week once her baseline results were processed. The November air carried a slight chill as she walked to her car. She'd taken the entire day off work, partly for the appointment and partly to give herself space to process whatever emotions might arise. Now, with several hours of afternoon stretching before her, she decided to take a detour. The shopping mall wasn't particularly crowded on a Thursday afternoon. Ariana wandered through department stores, no longer filled with the anxiety that had accompanied her first shopping trip. Today, she wore dark jeans, ankle boots, and a rust-colored sweater that complemented her growing blonde hair, casual but undeniably feminine. In Macy's, she found herself drawn to the jewelry counter. A sales associate approached with a professional smile.
"Can I help you find something?"
"I'm looking for earrings," Ariana said. "Something simple for everyday wear." "Do you prefer gold or silver tones?" Such a mundane question, yet it made Ariana pause. What did she prefer? After years of suppressing her tastes and desires, sometimes these simple choices felt momentous. "Gold, I think," she decided. "It would work better with my coloring." The associate nodded approvingly. "Definitely. With your blonde hair and warm complexion, gold is perfect." They settled on a pair of small, hammered gold hoops, subtle enough for work, but distinctly feminine. As the associate wrapped them, Ariana realized with a start that her ears weren't pierced. "Is there somewhere in the mall that does ear piercing?" 20 minutes later, Ariana sat in a chair at a small kiosk, trying not to flinch as the technician marked dots on her earlobes. "First time getting pierced?" the technician asked, noticing her nervousness. "Yes," Ariana admitted. "I've wanted to for years, but never found the right moment." The technician, whose name tag read Bethany, smiled reassuringly. "Well, today's your day. These studs will stay in for 6 weeks while your ears heal. Then you can switch to those pretty hoops you bought." The piercing gun made a sharp clicking sound, and Ariana felt a brief pinch in her right earlobe, then her left. Bethany held up a mirror. "Perfect placement," she declared. "They really suit you." Ariana stared at her reflection, at the small gold studs now adorning her ears. Another small but significant step forward. Another piece of herself claimed. "Thank you," she said, meaning it deeply. On the drive back to Morgan's apartment, which had become home over the past 2 months, Ariana made a decision. Pulling into the driveway, she took out her phone and dialed her parents' number before she could lose her nerve. Her mother answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello?" "Hi, Mom," Ariana said, her voice catching slightly. "Do you and Dad have time to talk this weekend? There's something important I need to discuss with you both." The table was set for Sunday dinner, the same china plates and water glasses that had featured in family meals throughout Ariana's childhood. Her mother had prepared pot roast, Ariana's favorite, with mashed potatoes and glazed carrots. The familiar smells filled the dining room, a counterpoint to the profound unfamiliarity of the situation. Ariana had arrived wearing a simple black A-line dress with her pink cardigan, her blonde hair neatly styled, makeup subtle but present. Her mother had opened the door, frozen momentarily in shock, then stepped aside silently to let her in. Her father, emerging from his study at the sound of the door, had stopped mid-stride, face unreadable. Now they sat across from each other, the food growing cold as an uncomfortable silence stretched between them.
I don't understand,
Her father finally said, his voice strained.
Is this some kind of phase? A costume?
Ariana took a deep breath, centering herself as Dr. Winters had taught her. No, Dad. This is who I am. Who I've always been, actually. Just hidden away because I was afraid. Her mother's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted her napkin. But you were always such a normal little boy. You played sports. You had friends. I did those things because they were expected, Ariana explained gently. I got very good at pretending to be the person everyone wanted me to be. But inside, I was always different. Always struggling. And now you're... what? Transgender? Her father spoke the word awkwardly, as though testing unfamiliar vocabulary. Ariana nodded. Yes, I've been seeing a therapist specializing in gender identity. I've started hormone therapy. My legal name is still Micah for now, but I go by Ariana. Her parents exchanged looks loaded with unspoken communication, the silent language of a long marriage. What about your job? Her mother asked practically. Your apartment? I'm still at the same firm. I've been working remotely while transitioning, but I'll be meeting with HR next week about updating my information and returning to the office as Ariana. As for living arrangements, I've been staying with my friend Morgan while I figure things out. Her father stabbed at a piece of pot roast, not meeting her eyes. This is a lot to process. I know, Ariana acknowledged. I don't expect you to understand everything right away. I just need you to try, to respect who I am, even if it's confusing. Her mother reached across the table, hesitantly touching Ariana's hand.
Are you happier this way?
The question, so simple yet so profound, brought tears to Ariana's eyes. Yes, Mom. For the first time in my life, I feel whole, like I can breathe properly. Her mother nodded slowly, tears gathering in her own eyes. That's what matters, I suppose. Her father cleared his throat.
I can't pretend this is easy for me. You were my son for 32 years.
I understand, Dad, but I'm still your child. The same person who loves fishing with you, who calls for advice about car maintenance, who shares your terrible sense of humor. That hasn't changed. The conversation continued through dinner. Difficult at times, with misunderstandings and old name slips, but underlaid with a fundamental love that gave Ariana hope. Her parents were trying in their way. Her mother asked practical questions about clothing sizes. Her father inquired gruffly about her therapy. Neither fully understood, but neither rejected her outright. As Ariana prepared to leave, her mother pressed a container of leftovers into her hands. Will you still come for Thanksgiving? She asked quietly. The Hendersons will be there, and your cousins from Cleveland. Ariana hesitated, imagining the expanded audience for her new identity.
You don't have to,
her father added unexpectedly.
If you're not ready. But your mother's been planning the menu for weeks and, well, it wouldn't be the same without you.
The use of you rather than a gendered term didn't escape Ariana's notice. A small concession, perhaps, but meaningful. I'll be there, she promised. As Ariana. Her mother nodded, then leaned forward to embrace her awkwardly. Your hair is coming in nicely, she murmured. The blonde suits you. always did. In the car afterward, Ariana allowed herself to cry. Not from sadness, but from release. The conversation hadn't been perfect, but it had been a beginning. More than she'd dared hope for, in many ways. Her phone buzzed with a text from Morgan. "How did it go?" "Better than expected," she typed back. "Not easy, but they're trying. They still want me at Thanksgiving." The response came quickly. "That's huge! Proud of you! Ice cream celebration when you get home?" Home. The word resonated deeply. Ariana was beginning to understand that home wasn't just a physical place. It was the state of being comfortable in her own skin, surrounded by people who saw and accepted her true self. Starting the car, she adjusted the rearview mirror and caught sight of her reflection. Blonde hair framing her face, gold studs glinting in her ears, eyes bright despite the emotional exhaustion. The person looking back at her was authentic in a way Micah had never been able to be. "Time to go home," she whispered to herself, and pulled away from her parents' house toward her future. The office holiday party twinkled with string lights and the soft glow of candles on each table. Colleagues mingled among serving stations, offering hors d'oeuvres and festive cocktails. The atmosphere relaxed after a successful fourth quarter. Ariana stood near the entrance, smoothing the fabric of her emerald green cocktail dress. 3 months had passed since her first appointment with Dr. Winters, 2 months since beginning hormone therapy. The changes were subtle but accumulating. Softer skin, the beginning of breast development that the dress's cut tastefully accommodated, a slight redistribution of weight that further feminized her figure. Her blonde hair now brushed her shoulders, styled in soft waves for the occasion. The gold hoop earrings she'd purchased that pivotal day at the mall glinted whenever she moved her head. "You came!" Morgan appeared at her side, resplendent in a silver sequined dress. "I wasn't sure you would." "Neither was I," Ariana admitted. "But hiding away won't make the transition any easier." Most of her colleagues had been informed of her transition through a carefully worded email from HR, followed by department meetings addressing respect and inclusion. She'd returned to the office as Ariana 6 weeks ago, facing a mix of reactions ranging from wholehearted support to awkward avoidance. Tonight marked her first social event with the entire company.
"You look amazing,"
Morgan assured her. "And remember, half these people are too concerned about whether their own outfit looks good to worry about anyone else." A waiter passed with champagne flutes. Ariana took one gratefully, the cool glass steadying her nerves. "Ariana!" The accounting department director approached, elegant, in a tailored pantsuit. "I'm so glad you could join us. That quarterly report you prepared was exceptional. The board specifically mentioned it in our last meeting." The conversation turned to work matters, familiar territory that helped Ariana relax. As more colleagues joined their circle, she found herself laughing, contributing, being seen not just as a curiosity, but as a valued team member. Between conversations, she caught glimpses of herself in the mirrored wall behind the bar, the emerald dress that complemented her coloring, the natural movement of her blonde hair when she laughed, the easy way she now held herself. The discomfort that had shadowed her entire life had diminished to occasional moments rather than a constant state. "A toast!" called the CEO, raising his glass at the center of the room. "To an outstanding year and to the incredible team that made it happen. Every one of you contributes something unique and valuable to this company." His eyes met Ariana's briefly as he spoke, a small nod acknowledging her journey. She raised her glass with everyone else, part of the collective rather than apart from it. Later, as Morgan drove them home through streets decorated with holiday lights,
Ariana found herself unexpectedly emotional.
What's wrong?
Morgan asked, glancing over with concern. Nothing's wrong, Ariana replied, surprised to find it true. I just realized something. All those years, I thought I wanted to be someone else. But that wasn't it at all. I wanted to be myself, my actual self. And now I am. Morgan reached across the console to squeeze her hand. You always were. You just needed the world to catch up and see you properly. The apartment they now officially shared, Ariana had signed on to the lease last month, welcomed them with warmth and familiar comfort. Kicking off her heels, Ariana padded to the bathroom to remove her makeup, a nightly ritual that had become second nature. As she wiped away mascara and foundation, she studied her reflection. Beneath the cosmetics was a face changing subtly with each passing week. Softer jaw lines, fuller cheeks, expressions that moved naturally through feminine patterns she'd once had to consciously practice. More significant than the physical changes was the person looking back at her. Someone at peace, someone whole. The navy floral dress that had marked her first tentative steps into the world as Ariana hung in her closet alongside a growing collection of clothing that expressed different facets of her personality. The burgundy scarf that had been her first accessory was draped over her bedside lamp, a reminder of how far she'd come. In her bedroom, Ariana changed into soft pajamas and sat cross-legged on her bed, opening her journal. Dr. Winters had suggested keeping track of her journey, not just the physical changes, but the emotional ones as well. Today, I attended the holiday party as my authentic self, she wrote. A year ago, I couldn't have imagined this possibility. 6 months ago, it seemed like a distant dream. Now it's simply my life. She paused, pen hovering over the page, searching for words to capture the profound shift in her existence. I used to think transition was about becoming someone new, she continued, finally. But that's not it at all. It's about removing the barriers that kept me from being who I always was. Like cleaning a window that's been clouded for years. The view was always there, just obscured. Through her bedroom wall, she could hear Morgan on the phone, laughing at something. Outside, a car drove past, playing Christmas music. Ordinary sounds of an ordinary evening, yet to Ariana, they represented an extraordinary gift, the simple pleasure of existing authentically in the world. She closed her journal and set it on her nightstand, next to a framed photo from Thanksgiving. Ariana, standing between her parents, all three smiling, somewhat uncertainly, but together. Progress, not perfection. A beginning. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, a voice therapy appointment, plans to begin the legal process of changing her name, ongoing adjustments to her hormone dosage. The road stretched ahead with both obstacles and possibilities. But tonight, in the quiet of her room, Ariana was simply grateful. And so, with a heart full of gratitude, she embarked on a new chapter, ready to embrace all the possibilities that lay ahead. She had conquered her fears and took that first step, realizing in the process that true happiness and self-acceptance were within her grasp. Her journey had been a testament to the power of self-belief, and with each step, she honored the kindness of those who had supported her and the strength she had discovered within. This realization marked not just an end to her doubts, but a beautiful beginning, where every day would be a celebration of her true, authentic self. As she walked forward with grace and confidence, there was no doubt that her life's story had found its joyous and inspiring conclusion. Finn. Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!